Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest and welcome to Monday, the 17th of November 2025. Time is currently 2:41 p.m. So about 1 hour and 29 minutes left of trading today. I did expect a bit of a bounce. We sort of got it in small caps and tech. I can definitely understand why tech, but I think we've been dragged down lower because of the banks. I could be being misled there. Well, not misled because I'm just assuming. I'm just making an assumption because I did see CBA had another down day or is having another down a day. Now, finally, I do have one of the photos I took on my trip in the background. This is actually the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Yeah, and there's Colorado River. Doesn't look big, does it? Yeah, it's a little bit deceptive. This is the bottom, and Grand Canyon is pretty big. It's quite grand, and maybe this is a controversial take, but I believe you don't really get a sense of how big the Grand Canyon is unless you hike to the bottom. And the people there try to dissuade people from hiking to the bottom because it's a pretty big undertaking. People do try to go to the bottom, and if you go to the bottom, you have to hike up. It's not like hiking up a mountain. You could just give up halfway and then go down. This is, if you commit to going down, you have to commit, you have to go up again. Anyway, so it doesn't quite look like it's that grand here, but this, the top here, the top of this ridge here is probably two-thirds of the way down. And above this ridge, there's way more upness. Anyway, this is Colorado River. You can see a bit of water, some structures in the background there. That is something they've built recently, and they do pump up water from the Colorado River up to the Grand Canyon Village, and they're actually working on that on my hike. And a bit further down, there's a black bridge. There's also a silver bridge close to the constructions. And coming back on the black bridge, because they actually closed a fair bit down, I saw some rafters coming on the Colorado River. I thought this is amazing because there's three things you think of when it comes to Grand Canyon: the canyon itself, rafters on the Colorado River, and also mill trains. And as I was ready to take some really good photos of the rafters on Colorado River, I thought this is great. In fact, the previous day I saw rafters a little bit further up on Colorado River, about 200 kilometers up, and I thought maybe these are the same people. Anyway, as I was actually ready to take photos, I heard someone shouting in the distance, "Hiker, get off the bridge, mill train coming." I looked back and there was a mill train coming. So I took a few photos of the rafters, then I got off the bridge and I thought I'd let the mill train go past me. There was about 10 to 15 mills, a couple of horses, and they let me pass eventually. This was a really steep bit up. They were stopping every so often to give the mules and horses a break, and I just powered my way up. Anyway, so Grand Canyon, this was going down South Khabib, going across Tonto, anyone knows Canyon, and then going up Bright Angel. It was about 30 kilometers in total. Elevation gain would have been close to 1,500 meters of elevation gain. So it's not a simple hike. It's not an easy hike, which is why they try to dissuade people from hiking. The other thing I should mention is the temperature difference between the top of the canyon and the bottom can be quite extreme, particularly in summer, which is another reason why they dissuade people. In fact, one of the photos you see is a person heeling over and vomiting. So quite confronting pictures of people. Well, it's fake pictures anyway. So they really try to dissuade people from hiking down to the bottom. But if you are quite experienced when it comes to hiking, it's no big deal. Okay, so I've gone a bit of a tangent and I took a lot of photos. I haven't really gone through my photos just yet, but I will eventually. Okay, so a day to be expected. Not surprised. No, I should go through the agenda first because I already talked about what we've seen. So the agenda for today's video, go through the ASX today, have a look at the best and worst performing sectors, indices, also companies. Then we'll go through the top five stocks of the day. Fairly good day when it comes to announcements. In fact, all five companies in the top five have had really good days, including one company that has released results. Oh, except one. One company responded to a short selling report from Spruce Point, and the top three companies all up a fair bit last time I looked. And after the top five, we'll have a look at a couple of charts. A company I've never heard of before. Their chart looks really good. And then we'll have a look at Gentrack, which is a company I used to own, but the share price down a fair bit again today. So it looks like definitely sentiment in that company has shifted fairly negative. Okay, so on to the ASX today. So a pretty good day for small caps and tech. But if you have a look at different sectors, yeah, energy up 1%. So maybe you could say we've been saved by energy, but no sector's down a lot, but discretionary and financials both down by more than 0.4%. So again, a lot of the weakness in our market today has been because the banks, in fact, the ASX 200 banks down 0.46%. Gold's had a negative day as well, which is not surprising because after our market had closed on Friday, gold did dip a fair bit. So not surprised by that. In fact, I might have assumed gold would have fallen a little bit more than that. Tech's had a good day. Small caps, again, a pretty good day as well. ASX 20 up 0.42%. And I think most of that weakness is because of the banks. And I'm just assuming, I did see CBA was down. Now let's have a look. See, we'll rank this or list this by market cap. And then we are CBA down 1.25%. BHP, so maybe a bit of weakness in iron ore. So when you have the two biggest companies on the ASX down by over 0.8%, you are going to see a little bit of weakness. Seven companies up, 13 down. And even though CBA is down, Westpac's actually up and ANZ's up. So really, it's been CBA that is and BHP that has really seen a bit of a and Macquarie Group, bit of a drag on our market. I'm wondering if Macquarie Group went ex-dividend. MQG. I'm just wondering because it's down 2.35%. That's probably the dividend yield or something like that. Oh, yes, they went ex-dividend. There you go. So we can sort of exclude that. Companies down today, Macquarie Group, Dividend or ex-dividend, Aristocrat, Commonwealth Bank, Sigma, and BHP. And the seven companies are Fortescue, Woodside, Rio Tinto. That's weird. So Fortescue and Rio Tinto up, BHP down. So I thought maybe there's weakness in iron ore, but no, two iron ores are up. QBE, Westpac, ANZ, and Goodman Group. There you go. And quite a few companies relatively flat. All right, now let's have a look at the best performing companies on the ASX today. I'm going to see a lot of companies I'll be talking about in the top five stocks of the day. Not Zuleika Gold. I had no intention to talk about that one. So I'm just going to have a quick look to see why they are up. Zuleika, I've never heard of this company before. We'll have a look at the announcements. There's no dividends. Settlement reached in plutonic gold mine litigation. I can definitely see why I just moved on from this one. I don't really care about this sort of thing. I'm supposing this was very positive for the company. Don't know why there's been some litigation. Final settlement in relation to its long-running plutonic gold mine litigation against Calix Metals. Does that mean Calix Metal share price is down? I'm not going to go through this. Oh, Calix will pay Zuleika $48 million. Fully paid shares in Calix of $31 million. Cash payment of $15 million. And upon the party's execution of the deed, and cash payment of $2 million by close of business on the 13th of May 2026. There you go. So nice win for Zuleika. I wonder if this is being what's the word where the other party says, oh no, we don't like this, we're going to appeal. That's the word I was looking for. I wonder if this is going to be appealed by Calix. Okay, so good day for Zag, maybe a bad day for Calix. Let's have a look-see. Not that much of a bad day, so the market doesn't care about this, probably because it's pretty big. Look at that. 100% ownership over critical piece of plutonic belt secured. They're never mentioning that they're paying a lot. Oh, look at this. Catalyst is delighted to announce it has settled an inherited legal dispute. Oh, inherited. Concerning a key area of the Botanic Gold Belt. So it looks like both parties are happy because Calix are saying they're delighted that it has been resolved. Maybe there was a bit of risk priced into Calix, and this is a good day for everyone. Let's have a look at the chart for ZAG. I just think of JAG, the show. Interesting chart. Not a bad looking chart for Zuleika Gold. Even before this, it was actually looking really good. Really big volume coming through today. So not a bad day for Zuleika Gold and a really nice chart. That's all I know about this company is the chart right now, and it's a good chart. Would I trade it? Not now. That's just me. Okay, back to the top gainers. I'm going to talk about 3D Energy and Calix. They're both in my top five. Metalbank, I'm pretty sure did release something, but the turnover is fairly low, and I would prefer a little bit higher turnover, but it is above 100,000. So let's just have a quick look at Metalbank. Share price up 26%. So they did high grade gold mineralization at 7 lenders. Why? So this must be a joint venture or something because there's two announcements here. Yep. So Hastings Technology Metals. And I'm just having a look at these numbers. It's a meh for me. It's a meh for me. So let's have a look at the chart for Metal Bank. I'm assuming this chart looks pretty good as well. Oh, it does. This is another good looking one. I'm going to write these down. Zag and Metal Bank. The reason I like both these charts, I do prefer Metal Bank a little bit more just because it looks like it could be the start of a shift in sentiment and trend. Zag has been going on a little bit longer, not that longer, but definitely we've seen a spike in volume and a shift in the trend in the share price. If you have a look at the weekly chart, different time frame, yeah, not there yet with this one. And if we go back to Zag, Zulika Metal Gold. In fact, the weekly chart looks okay as well. But the problem with these sort of companies is you can see back in October 2020, share price of Zulika went on a run, and then the interest in this company, it just died off so like that. Just died off like that. This tells me it was more day traders. There wasn't anything significant in the announcement. But I do prefer this sort of setup over what we saw in October 2020. This was just sudden movement. Maybe it was just one announcement. This is more of a gradual movement up, and we've also started to see a bit of a subtle increase in volume as well. Island Pharmaceuticals in my top five as well. Talk about that. And Caspian Resources is the chart of the day, or one of the two charts of the day. And after that, nothing much. Stream Play Studio. This will be the last one I talk about in this section. I typically just want to talk about one company in the top gainers, but Stream Play Studio. Uh, so Winterborough surpasses 1.8 million in early revenue. This company came onto my watch list. I'm pretty sure because of the cash flow report, the Appendix 4C. I haven't really delved too deeply in this one. I'm assuming they produce games and stuff like that. So company had $1.7 million in cash receipts and was operating cash flow positive 130,000, but that was with the help of income taxes paid. Doesn't make sense. They must have received income taxes. So if you take away the income taxes paid or received, they were slightly negative. But I've never looked at this company in the past. And this one did draw me in a little bit, but I haven't had a complete look. So they own North American-based Noodle Cake Studios, an award-winning game developer and publisher. So I probably should have a closer look at this company just because maybe they're moving in the right direction. A fairly small company, I'm assuming. Um, yeah, market cap is 16.7 million, a little bit lower than most of the other companies I'll be talking about or Metal Bank's 12.8. Anyway, and this is the chart. This is the weekly chart. It's actually looking pretty good as well. A subtle increase in volume, but just a subtle. But share price at 1.3 cents is close to that 1 cent. So had been below 1 cent for a while. Now it's above 1 cent. So might have a closer look at this company over the next few months, but I'm probably in no rush just now. Other than that, core lithium up another 15%. We don't really have to look at the chart for that one. Chart is looking pretty good. Top gainers by market cap. Drone, so quite a few tech companies having bounces. Drone Shield, wouldn't touch that. Fleet Partners in my top five. Elsight, 4D Medical, yeah, Paradigm Biopharmaceuticals. Although I'm pretty sure they released something today. So did Alcidion, and then Hastings Technology Metals. They had the same. They were the reasons Metal Bank had gone up, I think. Anyway, so that's the top gainers. So a lot to digest here. A lot of companies having a pretty good day, particularly compared to last Friday, and particularly compared to the top losers. Not much here. A company called Genmin is down 45.46%. Market cap is 10.665 million. They did a capital raising, and typically on capital raisings, I just move on. So heavily discounted capital raising. I'm pretty sure they raised at 1 cent, which is a 50% or more than 50% discount. That's awful. Atomos down. We don't want to see that, but that's okay. We're going to see a little bit of volatility in these. The reason I say that is because I'm trading Atomos, but it's very typical to see what do you call it? Volatility in companies that have gone on a nice little run. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what you want to see. Not a bad chart. By the way, the volume today in Atomos has been very low. That's exactly what you want to see. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the share price maybe drop as far as 2.6 cents, 2.7 cents before the next bounce. I would prefer to see it go sideways. And this is just a little bit of profit taking because the share price has gone up. And there we go. So we're just going to have a look. Share price, yeah, open at 3.3. So it immediately opened down 10%, which is a little bit of profit taking on open. Anyway, so it's still a healthy looking chart for Atomos. And what else do we have here? Oh, integrated research, blah. Zuno Group, yeah. And top losers by market cap. By the way, nothing, we go back to percentage change, nothing of note here. Like Mega Metals is down 6% on big turnover, but again, nothing substantial released by that company. So nothing of note here when it comes to share price moving down on significant news. If we have a look at the top losers by market cap, I think we're going to see the same thing here. I'm not sure why Gentrack is down. A lot of these companies are just down on not much news, if any news at all. Airtasker. Airtasker is down. They did release something today, but was it an acquisition? Or so, oh no, it might have been a capital raising. Let's have a look. It might have been a capital raising for an acquisition. No, US strategic media partnership announcement. But it was it was an equity raising. Okay, so that's probably why the share price is down for Airtasker. Okay, let's move on to the top five stocks of the day. We'll start off with Fleet Partners. Share price up 6.64%. Share price was flat on open. I had a look at these results and I was like, they also made an acquisition. These sort of companies tend look like they're really cheap. So Fleet Partners, Smart Group, Macmillan Shakespeare. I'm pretty sure the other one I'm thinking of has been bought out. What was that company called that's been bought out? I forget now. Anyway, I had a look at these results. So share price is $3.05. And if you have a look at their numbers, and particularly focusing on maybe earnings per share, you might go, oh, this is actually really looking quite cheap. So cash earnings per share of 37.5 cents. So cash earnings per share, no, the P ratio based on the cash earnings less than 10, but that's cash earnings per share. If we have a look at, do they have the numbers here? The one thing I didn't like about this is they sort of manipulate the information to suit the numbers. Now, in saying that, maybe net profit after tax excluding amortization is the way these companies should report, but they're really focusing on that because net profit after tax excluding amortization, excluding EOL, which is end of lease of 41 million, up 9%, by the way. Let's just have a quick look at their numbers. And so I just want to see what they've reported because the numbers don't lie. They can sort of manipulate the storytelling. So revenue up 3.2% and PATA down 4.1%. Earnings per share, yeah, 33.1 or 33.6. They use it in PATA earnings per share, which is 37.5, which is a high number. So maybe they should use that. Profit for the year after tax, I do prefer that as well, $75.3 million. Not bad margin, $786 million of revenue. So we're talking about 10% margin. So $75 million of profit, and the market cap of the company is definitely less than 750 million. The reason I'm saying that is because the company's PE ratio, yeah, 665 million. So the company's PE ratio is below 10. And that's sort of interesting. Let's have a look to see what Comsec said it is. Comsec says it's 8.67. Dividend yield is not 5.11%. I'm pretty sure it's more than that because they actually did mention in the presentation the dividend yield is around 9%. Now, maybe my biggest problem with this company is a lack of growth. They did mention in the presentation that one of the reasons to invest in the company was their growth. And I was like, really? I'm not seeing that much growth now. Maybe they might experience growth. See if I can find that page. Acquisition, end of lease. They do mention EOL, and I discovered that's end of lease. Here we go. Is why Fleet Partners? investing for growth in large and unpenetrated markets. So maybe they're talking about the future. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're investing or putting a little bit more money for growth ventures, and that could lead to further growth in the future. They don't mention anything about valuation. They also talk about high yield, so implied analyzed yield of 8.9%. One of the things I would say was, God, there's pretty good value here. Now, if we have a look, a quick look, see if I can find it here. Where is it? I'm looking for FinChat or Fiscal AI. I'm just going to have a quick look at FPR, Fleet Partners, in this, just to see what sort of growth they do have. So minimal revenue growth. We're talking about 2.2% over the last 5 years. Earnings per share growth is minimal as well. So nothing really to write home about when it comes to this company. So really, it's more of this company looks cheap, and also you get a nice dividend yield. Now could be affected by changes in government regulations. That's one thing going against this company. And another thing is, like, they deal with novated leases, that sort of thing. And there is a possibility that this company could be significantly affected, or this industry could be significantly affected in the next 10 or so years because of automation. That is something I'm thinking about as well. So maybe that's why these companies are cheap, because of this threat of automation. And I think automation and automated cars it's getting out there now. It's out there now, particularly in the United States. And I think when it's really catches on, we're going to see significant growth in that area. And this company could be affected. So maybe that's why it's cheap. I don't know. Okay, and finally the chart. So FPR. And daily chart, it's a big nut for me. I wouldn't say close to a breakout. Share price really not doing anything. And if we have a look at the weekly chart as well, um, now, over the long term, share price has been going up, particularly since 2019-20. Share price down at 40 cents. If we do put in the 200-week moving average, not really the chart of a high quality company at all. Particularly if you go back to 2015 when they listed, it looks like share price has just gone sideways. So, based off this chart, probably all you're getting, or all you could be confident about this company, is a nice dividend yield. You're not going to get much growth in the share price or capital growth. Okay, so let's go on to company coming in at number 4. We have IperionX. Share price down 5%, was down a lot more than this. In fact, the low of the day was 424. So share price has bounced significantly. I sort of understand that, because on open, there was a short report released in regards to this company, and people will panic. I've seen this time and time again. People see the short report, panic, sell on open, and then so many times the share price will recover. So I wish I had the confidence to do that with IperionX. I have no intentions of even thinking about buying this company. A market cap of $1 billion, and they're not selling anything. This is the definition of a story stock. It's just a story. And I could definitely see why shorters would be really attractive to this sort of company, because who knows the valuation of this company. There's a great chance that this company is significantly overvalued at current levels. There's also a small chance that this company will become significantly bigger in the future, but I think the chances of that are small, but not zero. Receipts in the last quarter, $1,000. So this company still has a long way to go before I even think about investing in this, because they have to show that the story has a bit of has substance. The story has a substance. I need a finish. Well, maybe not a finish, but I need something to carry me through. Anyway, I would consider this more of a trading stock, and even then, I haven't really thought about trading IperionX. We'll just have a quick look at the chart. If you have a look at the daily chart, yeah, all over the place, which is understandable for story stocks, because it's really hard to give a valuation to these type of companies. So that's why you see the share price low and high be so different over a short period of time, because it's all based off sentiment. And you can just see the sentiment shifting significantly for this company. But overall, the share price has been going up. Yeah, overall share price has been going up. The question is, what's a good value for this company? Now, the share price has responded really well today after falling, almost halving. And yeah, this could be the end. This could be it. Short report could be the capitulation. And now we might see a bit of buying coming in. Okay, So Spruce Point was the shorter. On their website, you can actually have a look at all the companies they're shorting, including DraftKings, a few companies I've never heard of. In fact, most of these companies I've never heard of. A few companies I have heard of, Monster Beverage. What else was there? Intuit, Zebra Technologies or Zebra. There was another one here as well, Zillow Group and MSI. I'd love to see how successful they have been with their shorting. We also have Hims and Hers Health, which is interesting. Super Microcomputer, C3 AI. This is going back to 2023. And that's all they do is they're just short. They're just short, 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 short. Now, I am a bit, I'm going to say I am a bit, I usually am a skeptical when it comes to short reports because if they're wrong and the share price rallies, they're going to be completely destroyed. So they really, and the other thing I should mention is fear is much more powerful than greed. So one of the reasons they put out short reports is because they want the share price to plunge. Honestly, and when people see the short report, they go, "Oh no, I got to sell, got to sell." So that's why short reports are so much more powerful than long reports because fear is so much more powerful than greed. And we've seen that today with AperionX. Share price at the low today, and in fact, if you have a look at 1 minute chart, it more than likely, yeah, opened at low. Share price on open was down. We're talking about being down 25%. Now the share price is only down 5%. So if you sort of were confident that this is nothing, this is just this company, what they called Spruce Point, trying to put the fear in the market so the share price will tumble. If you understand how fear is a driving force of retail investors, and that's why the share price plunged on open and they recovered fairly well, uh, you could have made a mozza out of this one, but I don't have the confidence in that. I didn't go through their report. One of the they did have a I did see a little I did see a photo somewhere. I did see a photo. I'm trying to remember where that photo was. There was a photo. It might have been in market index. It might have been in market index. I saw it. There was a photo of AperionX going to the company's. Here it is. Yeah, it's this one. They went to the company's headquarters in Charlotte, North Carolina, and there was no one there. There was all these packages outside the door, and they also had really old annual reports and sustainability reports, and there was no business cards. So what they're saying is, hey, there's no one at the offices. If there's no one at the offices, how is this a real company? Repeated calls and a site visit to AperionX's corporate headquarters came up empty. Interesting thing in their response, AperionX, the company's management said they didn't get any calls from the company or the shorter. Yeah, they didn't get any sort of call from the shorter. Anyway, look, the shorters are short for a reason, and the reason they released that report is to try to drive the share price down, which is why I'm cynical about short reports. It's only they only recently releasing it for one reason, to drive the share price down, because they understand that fear is way more powerful than greed, and the management should be putting out a really positive retort. And more than likely, this is quite positive. And maybe this is the reason why the share price rallied. No, it was released before open. There you go. Anyway, so no interest in AperionX. It is a story stock for me, and it could be this company could be really successful. We just don't know. I need proof. I need proof. And with a market cap of $1 billion, I'm pretty sure it's like 1 billion or something like that. With a market cap of $1 billion, the it's not in your favor. This company really has to be 1.78 billion. For this company for you to get a really good return out of this company has to be really successful, and the chances of that are actually quite low. So the odds aren't in your favor that you're going to make a lot of money out of this one unless you trade it. And it has been a good trading company. Okay. Company coming in at number 3, we have TDO, 3D Energy. Energy spelled with an I. Maybe they never went to school and didn't learn how to spell energy, or maybe it's one of those parents who spell their kid's name with the weird spelling. Anyway, 3D Energy, I'm assuming it's share price up 34.78%. So they're doing some drilling for oil, and Essington 1 intersects two gas-bearing war reservoirs. How do you pronounce WAARRE? War reservoirs. Okay, so have really never looked at this company. I had a quick look at their presentation. This presentation, very quick look. I moved on fairly quickly. Funny enough, I do know their logo. I don't know why I know their logo, but for some reason, their logo. Um, I'm wondering if this company has changed their name because uh, TDO is a TDO that I do sort of recognize. Yeah, 3D oil. Like I was going to say 3D oil. That makes more sense. Yeah, as soon as I see 3D, yeah, okay. I've never looked at this company, but I do know the T-Code 3D or TDO, and I do know that name 3D oil. Okay, so I had a look at this particular presentation. It's a fairly small company, talking about gas exploration, East Coast gas exploration. I did see Seal Rocks, which is really interesting because Seal Rocks is just south of Foster, New South Wales. And I'm wondering if that's why it's called Seal Rocks. I have no idea. Whistle Point, I wonder if that's off the coast of Canada. No, it's not. I'd like to see a little bit of a map. They also name drop here. They've got ConocoPhillips Australia. Wow. Anyhow, the other thing I should mention is this company, I'm almost completely certain this company has no revenue. I could be mistaken. So I'm going to look out right now at their Appendix 5B and just see if this company has any revenue or if it's a pure exploration play right now. Now, just because it's an exploration or pure exploration doesn't necessarily mean they'll remain so. And in some ways, that is the most exciting part of a company's life is when they transition from no revenue to revenue. That inflection point can be very exciting. So I just want to say, and just take your time, Comsec. No reason to rush. I'm in no rush. You just take your time. It's a beautiful day. And let's have a look to see if they do have any receipts. No, in fact, not a lot of spending. $294,000 in operation cash flow, $284,000 in exploration valuation, and not much cash. 141. They must have done a capital raising recently. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, they've done a capital raising. Highly successful $9.4 million placement. So let's have a look at the chart for this one. Share price is not at the high. So we have seen a little bit of selling. TDO. I have a feeling this chart's going to look okay. I don't mind this chart. In fact, I looked this company maybe a year ago because I put a bit of a resistance line right there at about 10 cents, which makes sense. So I must have seen this. In fact, if you go before that, China has been looking good for a while, since maybe the start of 2024 when the share price was about 5 cents. So share price has tripled in the last few years. And today, share price did get to a long-term high, if not an all-time high, has pulled back a little bit, but 15.5 cents, that's an important level. The reason that's an important level is that's the highs this company's share price saw not that long ago. So we have seen a little bit of selling, a little profit taking, but the share price is at that important level. Also, the volume, really big volume. I like that volume. Now, I have not even looked at this announcement, by the way. I'm assuming intersects, reservoirs, good. Now, any sort of numbers here, I'm probably like, yeah, I don't know. So they're just talking about meters, 58.5 meters of net pay and 31.5 meters of net pay. I have no idea how to read that at all. Also talking about MDRT. Yeah, no, this is one sort of announcement where I look at it and go, it's all gas to me, or all French to me, all gas to me. Ah, well, it looks like they're drilling off the coast of Victoria. Oh, that's why they name dropped ConocoPhillips. ConocoPhillips owns 51%. They're the operator, and Korea National Oil owns 29%. There you go. By the way, the chart, I actually quite like this chart. I quite like this chart. I like how it's a very beautiful uptrend chart. But I do think you have to be patient with this one. Coming in number two, we have Calix. I always mix up the ticker with this one. It's CXL, not CLX. I just want to do CLX, but CLX is CTI Logistics. But the reason I want to do CXL is Calix. C is first, L is second, X is third. So I always get this one mixed up. Calix share price up 40.86%. Now, name dropping can be very important, and Calix has name dropped Rio Tinto because they've moved into a joint development. What's the A in that JDA? Joint Development Association Agreement, maybe? Joint development, oh, it's right there. Joint development agreement with Rio Tinto for Zesty. For Zesty. And I think this could be a sign that the technology is pretty good. If Rio Tinto wants to provide a lot of money, a lot of a lot of money. So to provide $35 million of value, maybe it's not money, but it's value for Zesty Green Iron Demonstration Plant. Now, another reason Rio Tinto might be doing that is if this is successful, they will probably benefit significantly in terms of valuation because they do. The JDA also outlines the principles by which Rio Tinto may use the Zesty technology under global and perpetual non-exclusive license agreement and/or market sub-license Zesty to its affiliates and steelmaking customers. And I'm wondering if this part of the announcement significantly benefits Rio Tinto. I always get a little bit wary of these sort of agreements, particularly if it's between a small company and a big company. But who's getting the value? Who's getting real value? And more than likely, Rio Tinto is getting quite a bit of value out of this, even though they're providing a bit of money. And Calix is taking on most, if not all, the risk. And if it doesn't work out, this technology, Calix could be destroyed, while Rio Tinto won't be affected at all, more than likely. But you could also say that this validates maybe more, it doesn't completely validate their technology, but it brings a little bit more validation to the company's technology. I don't know much about Calix or this particular technology, Zesty. I'm just not the biggest fan of the name, but it is green technology, zero emission steel technology. Yeah, so maybe this is one to pay a little bit more attention to, closer look. Now, I don't think the company is producing much revenue, but I do, if I remember correctly, they are producing a little bit of revenue. They don't release an Appendix 4C. So let's go back to the most recent financial results. So they have revenue, actually more than a little, revenue of 33.9 million, up 30.5 million. So they do have a little bit of revenue, but they are not profitable just yet. Gross profit of 10.7 million, but not profitable. I could be wrong. Let's have a look. Let's have a quick look. Just gonna have a quick look. And as that opens up, oh, I'm gonna use market index. Where is it? Which one was the annual report? Look how quick this opens up. Market index. And it's still opening in ComSec. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is have a quick look at this company's financial. So revenue 28.17 million. And they were loss making to the tune of $20 million. So still a long way from being profitable. But they're improving. Now let's have a look at the chart. And this one actually did caught my eye as well. So a few charts in today's list have caught my eye. Oh, I see. I did it right there. CXL, not CLX. This one caught my eye. I didn't think this chart was going to look as good as it does. So share price had been a long-term downtrend. When we say long-term downtrend, we mean a long-term. Share price reached a high of 950 in 2022 and fell all the way down to a low of 25 cents in April 2025. That was a low. The next low wasn't quite as low. That was in June. So that was a good sign. Maybe the low had been reached. Not necessarily absolute. Share price looks like it was breaking out back in July. Now the share price pulled back. Not a lot of volume on that breakout. So I wasn't fooled by that. We saw another little bit of a rally in the share price back in October. Then the share price pulled back. So it looks like there is a bit of a floor at about 35 to 40 cents. Now the share price wants to break out again on today's news, a little bit higher volume, but there is a little bit of resistance because the share price rallied back in July. So if that share price didn't rally above 50 cents back in July, this chart would look even better. This chart would look really good. But I think this is on the precipice of potentially breaking out. So Calix, put this one to your watch list, maybe. I'm putting onto my watch list. That's what I did right then. Okay, and finally, the stock of the day is Island Pharmaceuticals. Share price, oh, only up 23.53%. Okay, I just randomly put these last three companies in just any random order. Island Pharmaceuticals, FDA agrees animal rule pathway and PRV eligibility. Okay, so for me, that was like a meh, whatever. But then I did receive an email from Next Investors. And as soon as I saw that email from Next Investors, I went, yep, I think this share price is going to bounce today. So let's have a look. FDA advisors, no, I don't know much about this company, advises that Galidesivir would qualify for a priority review voucher on approval. Command prices up to 155 million on the open market. The company intends to commence the clinical trial program to advance approval in the first quarter based on program approved by FDA. So this sort of announcement won't draw me in. And initially it didn't draw me in until I got that email from Next Investors. And here is their website. I've got it here somewhere. Or maybe I don't. Oh, here it is. This is the Next Investors website. Apparently, it is their biotech pick of the year. So they do go into this. Effectively been approved to skip the 15 plus year expensive process of human phase 2 and 3 clinical trials. So there you go. That's probably why it's more significant. Just shows you that I am pretty ignorant of these sort of announcements, but still, it's still up in the air. I'd still say this company is a morning stock. Not a morning stock. I just saw this morning. I would still say this company is a story stock. And the reason I say that is the company has no, or is not selling anything. And I'm pretty sure that is real. Yeah, they're not selling anything. So this is still a story stock, but things are moving in the right direction. And Next Investors is involved in Island Pharmaceuticals. And the more positive Next Investors comes, that can simply drive the share price higher. So maybe I should have a closer look at this. Responses significantly de-risked regulatory pathway. Island is now the first Australian company with an opportunity to advance drug approval under the FDA's animal rule. It's probably why I never heard of it. Animal rule. Yeah, maybe I need to do a little bit more research on this animal rule because it's the first company. What is the FDA's animal rule? Allows drugs to be approved based on efficacy demonstrated in well-controlled animal studies when human trials are unethical or not feasible. Sort of makes sense, such as with highly lethal diseases like Marburg viruses. Okay, I might read this a little bit more, but still for me, it's still a little bit short of where I want to be. This company is a little bit short of where I want to be. I want a little bit more clarity and a little bit more confidence with Island Pharmaceuticals. So let's have a look at the chart for Island Pharmaceuticals. And just because Next Investors are involved in this, chart should be looking pretty good. Yeah, I have no problems with this chart at all. In fact, the chart's been looking really good for about a year and 3 months. Okay, so that's the chart, or that's the company of the day, stock of the day, Island Pharmaceuticals. Okay, color chart of the day. First one we're going to look at is Gentrack. So, share price just keeps on dropping. This is starting to look pretty ugly. So down to 650. I'm just going to have a look at the weekly chart. And I'm just looking for any sign of support and really not much. So this is a beautiful chart, how we can just see sentiment shifting from sort of neutral when it was share price was going sideways for about 3 years, then a breakout back in November 2022. Then share price went on a massive run. And I was a shareholder through this whole massive run. Now, one of the reasons I got out was because the chart was starting to look a little bit more negative. But another reason I got out is because I started hearing this company being popped up by or being suggested or recommended more and more. Before, during the run up in share price, never heard of one thing about this company. That was to me a sign that things are probably near their peak for this company. And yeah, since then, share price has dropped a fair bit. It's just interesting that when the share price was a dollar 50, no one mentioned this company. And all during this run up from a dollar 50 all the way up to about $10, not one peak from any experts. And then in the last year, I've heard plenty of people talk about Gentrack, or recommending this company. I think even who recommended it? Was it? I don't think it was Bill Potter. Yeah, Bell Potter. Yeah, there you go. Bell Potter names the best ASX tech stocks to buy in financial year 26. And I'm pretty sure they, can't remember if they mentioned it last year, but yeah, Gentrack was one of their recommendations. And I'm wondering if they recommended it in the previous year. I can't remember. Can't remember. I think maybe they did. Maybe they did. Anyway, the other company or the other chart of the day is a company called Caspen Resources. Now, I had never heard of this company before. They were in the top gainers of the day. CPN, yeah. Caspen Resources. They share price up 24%. No news flow. They had drilling underway at the Wheat Harley or Wheat Hull Gold Project on 28th of October. I'm assuming this company is not producing any cash flow, not in production. And I thought, "Oh, okay, I could just move on." And then for some reason, I just had a look at the chart, and the chart drew me in. So long downtrend, going all the way back to 2022. Maybe they were under a different name. You can just see the share price in a downtrend. Started to find a bit of an equilibrium, sideways movement with a floor at about 5 cents. In fact, if you put a line right at 5 cents, you can see how long the share price moved along this line. And then the share price started to go higher back in September. You could have bought in at maybe 7 cents. Now the share price has doubled since then. The other thing to pay attention to is the volume. In fact, we saw a spike in volume on the 4th of September, and that's the share price ran up 10.7%. So 4th of September, let's go back 3 months. And on that particular day, no, they didn't release anything. Just a company presentation the day before. Not sure why the share price rose on the day, could be nothing, but the volume speaks. And then a few days later, maybe a week later, another big spike in volume. And we've got another big spike in volume today. Now, we have seen a little bit of selling coming in today. Share price got as high as 18 cents, so it has pulled back. So we have seen a little bit of selling, but nice volume coming in for Caspen Resources. Market cap for this company is $30.9 million. There you go. So just for me, more of a trading stock than anything else. Well, for me, I definitely wouldn't own this for the long term just because, well, it's a story stock. For me, you don't own story stocks for the long term because they're stories. And sentiment drives the share price higher and lower, nothing else, not fundamentals, sentiment. And when it comes to sentiment, you just want to trade that. You don't want to own that for the long term because what's a good reason? What's a good reason why sentiment is really important and why don't I own these companies for the long term? Well, BrainChip is a perfect example. BrainChip is probably the prime example. If you go back to, even I got caught up with BrainChip. If you go back to 2020, so the first bit of positive sentiment was in late 2020. Share price just went bonkers. Share price found a bit of a floor, and then the share price went bonkers again in early 2022, and that was it. Since then, the share price has moved lower, and the company just hasn't done anything. They haven't increased their revenue, receipts, it's still very low. The market's still waiting. And this is why story stocks can be a problem because you could be waiting 5, 10 years before anything of substance comes into being. In the meantime, share price might drop 99.999%. BrainChip still could drop. It has a market cap of 360 million. It could still drop 90% from here and still be overvalued. Okay, so that's all I have for today's ASX Daily Rundown video. If you have any questions, any thoughts, leave those in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for the video. Have a good day. Bye.